This will be available for your reference after we have finished. Thank you so much for joining again today. I'm really excited. This is part 3 of our Leasing Manager Leasing training for fall 2016. So far we've talked about renewal organization, how to audit repeatedly to make sure that all of our numbers are matching and all of our results are accurate. Today we are going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some more fun stuff about how we can make sure that we are visible in our market and our product is well known as much as possible. Today's main idea is to make sure that we have our bases covered as far as different avenues for market visibility goes. What are different things we can be doing constantly throughout the years, and how can we launch that to the best of our abilities. We want you guys to exhaust your options at the beginning of the lease up as much as possible to avoid any struggle at the end of it all. So I do want to tell you guys that we are going to be sharing a lot of ideas. So as you'll see through, as we proceed with the presentation, you'll notice that there are going to be a lot of different things, and some of these things you guys might already be doing successfully, which is really good because we can share that with the group. Our hope is just to provide you with possibly some new ideas as well, so you can pump up your marketing techniques to make sure that your property stands out in comparison to your competition. So just as I said, I know that some of these things are already being done on site, and we want to take advantage of that fact and share those ideas with our team members. So stay engaged. I will go ahead and be calling out on you guys to share how you have done on your property to make sure that marketing is being done well. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So first and foremost, we want to talk about cross promotion. We all have our local businesses that are near us, that are close to schools, close to our property, and we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of cross promoting with them. The idea of cross promotion works really well because not only of course we benefit from them, we also give them an opportunity to benefit from our business. So reaching out to different cafes, different eateries, different bars in the area, whatever the local happening shops are, talking to them about possibly putting coupons or flyers in your move-in packets throughout your events, having them host some of your events so their product can also be introduced to your residents. That is one of the best ideas that we can, I feel like it's mutually beneficial to both parties. Not only your residents get to benefit from coupons they might have to offer, and for you to share your property information with these businesses, but they also get to benefit from it because they get access to 500 to 1,000 residents that you guys might have on your site. So with something like this, we've seen a lot of examples in the past. Amazon student came to our Republic in Nevada property. I have added another example from the Phoenix where they did they do these bookmarks of the residents events every single month or so, and they try to add on the back of that coupon, they try to add as many coupons or as many local businesses as possible to just promote them and get their residents involved. I would really encourage you guys to think about, what are some of the local pizza places, and see if you can go ahead and have your sorry, clicked too quickly. If you guys have any pizza delivery, for example, if you can add your flyer or any specials that you guys are running on site to their delivery boxes, so they can be going to hundreds of people every single night. Similarly to your other food delivery places. So have you guys had any success in the past with this, where you were able to work with a local business that worked out really well?
We used to have Good Guys Pizza that gave us a medium pizza for all of our move-ins.
That is
a free pizza, and that was wonderful.
That is definitely really, really good. Having them host your events, of course, is a good way to build that relationship as well. Because as I said, your residents get to know about it as well as so their business gets promotion, and you also get your benefit out of it as well. So we're gonna uh, our next point, of course, is to make sure that as far as market visibility goes, we want to make sure that you are represented really well online. This becomes increasingly important because I want to say good majority of the time, this is the first time your future residents are going to come into contact with your product. Chances are that they are checking you online before they are coming into tour. So you want to make sure that you're represented really, really well in your region. So you want to figure out what are some of the sites that are relevant to your property. Is it apartmentguide.com? Is it forrent.com? Is it hoppass.com? We also have some, you of course have university related websites. You might have to pay a little bit and pay a little bit more to get on those, but those are also available. What you want to figure out for yourself is what sites are relevant to your property, and are you on all of them? One of the questions I used to ask myself is what are some of our competition on? So who are some of our comps? What are websites that they're on? Because we want to make sure that we are one step ahead of them and we are being found online a lot more quickly than they are. So you want to make sure that your comps are not beating you to it. And this again, it's a little bit of a side note, but it definitely makes you also keep in mind that what kind of reviews are popping up when people are looking you up online. I know that as far as the details of the topic, it is another topic for another time, but something to keep in mind when you are being Googled or Yelped or stuff, what is coming up for that, because that's also speaking volumes for your property's reputation. So I shared a quick example right here to see for the Branbury, for example, on your list. So when you Google just student apartments in Provo, Utah, so you notice that the very first results that comes up is for Craigslist, which isn't too surprising because Craigslist is usually very popular. The second result is for BYU's off-campus housing. That's a really good site to keep in mind and see if Branbury can get on it. But do you notice how the Branbury is right there? When you Google just apartments in Provo or student apartments in Provo, Branbury shows up pretty quickly without having to scroll any further down the page. But when you look up just Branbury directly, then that's when you also start seeing what other sites Branbury is on. It is Cougar Housing for apartment rating. Of course, their own website is one of the first ones on there. So I would again encourage you guys to search yourself, see how visible you are, how quickly you pop up in basic Google results, and also what are some of the local regional websites that are really important to your area. So for example, I would like to know what are some of the local ones in Texas maybe. Nicole, do you have any website in particular that you want to make sure the edge is on? Nicole, are you out there?
I am. I'm trying to think right now if there's anything different that we're doing online. Let's see.
Are there any university-related websites that you want to usually make sure they are on?
Yeah, so we're a part of ACT Allies, so but that's specific to San Marcos. Okay. So we get advertised on their website. There's also Live Somewhere, which is kind of like a Craigslist that we started advertising on, and it's a free source. Mm-hmm. So any of those free sources we just add to our daily marketing. So whenever we go post on Craigslist, we're posting on Live Somewhere as well.
I see. And the first one you mentioned is called Live Out Loud?
Live Somewhere?
live somewhere. Oh, I see it. Okay. So and it seems like they use that in North Carolina as well. Well, that is pretty good. And this is precisely what I mean about finding something. If you have anything that is particular to San Marcos, that is really good. You as manager in their area, you just have to identify what those websites are and where the prospects are going. So that definitely is a good example.
So in Chelsea, our marketing manager just found a new one that is free, but we haven't done a whole lot on it yet, called U Cribs.
Oh,
I think it's for like university housing, so off-campus student housing. So we are checking that one out this week.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It seems like I might have heard about that one, maybe in maybe for the Republic at the so that's UCRIBS for university housing is actually usually pretty good too. So that's a good example. Thank you for sharing that. So again, the idea really is to dig into your locality and your region and see where are people going, and especially in student housing, it ends up people are constantly creating new things to search as a search engine or so. So staying on top of that usually helps a lot too. My other suggestion for you guys would really be to reach out to your especially for student housing properties, to reach out to your school departments and athletic departments and as many subdivisions of that as possible. So think about different departments that do exist on your local university. International students usually are pretty important part of our clientele. Pretty much all of our properties do have students that are from abroad, so it'll be really good to possibly find who is the person on campus that is taking care of their housing and to create a good relationship with that department and with that person. Similarly with student transfer department, majority of transfer students don't want to live in dorms and stuff because they have gone through the first 2 years at another maybe community college or so they're looking for an actual apartment. They're looking for basically a product that we have to offer. Similarly, with athletic teams, I used to work at a property in Sacramento, and year after year, the soccer teams would always stay on our property because we had a good relationship with the coach, and we had provided them good service over time. So similarly, music department, art department, think about what are some of these departments that you have gotten prospects in the past, and reach out to whoever is heading those departments. Introduce yourself, introduce Horizon, talk about the pledge with them, let them know how we stand for good service and we want to take care of our residents, and make that impression with them ahead of time, so when they do have students reaching out to them for housing, they can make a recommendation for you. And on that similar note, of course, fraternities and sororities are huge. Some of them have their own housing, but a lot of them do not have their own housing, but they do want to live together in the same building or so. So you want to make sure that you are reaching out to them. Some of the other examples for these groups are just Outdoors Adventures Club or graduate student unions, multicultural groups. Again, similarly, graduate students are another one of those groups. They do not want to live in dorms. They want to have privacy. They want to be living a little bit off campus, so they're not distracted as much by the younger students or so. So that's where your product becomes increasingly important. I believe Lindsay is going to share her experience with fraternities and sororities in Pullman.
Yeah, can you guys hear me, or can you hear me, Samia?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you guys, when I was in Pullman, it's super helpful, like for that particular property, to reach out to all the different sororities and fraternities on campus because of the location of the properties. And that was our demographic was made up primarily of people that were involved in a fraternity or a sorority, but so it was really important for us to hit their house meetings every Monday, so that way we could just take them some flyers or something. So we had someone that was designated to doing that. That was there, like between 4 and 5. That was what they did, is they would pick a few fraternities and sororities, to take a list of our availability to. So if you're trying to backfill and you know that you're in a good location for the Greeks, that's a really good contact point for your team to make. Another thing that I'd just like to reiterate that Samia mentioned is the contact with your international student office. That was also something that we did a lot when I was in Pullman, is we would find the contact and whoever was in, the housing director for that program, and I know one year we went to like an international student orientation housing fair. We made sure that they knew what our availability was at all times. We were in constant contact with them, and just trying to determine when they had new students coming in, because we had a property in Pullman that was a great location for their students that were coming to be part of the English learning program. So make sure that you guys know what those programs are, so that way you can really make those connections and you guys are the place to live if you're coming for students that are coming and joining new programs. So whether that is fraternities and sororities, graduate students, multicultural groups, international student programs, whatever it might be, maybe it's a specific program on campus, like the business school or the architecture school, whatever it might be, know what the programs are that are close to your buildings, so that way you can specifically target that demographic. Because if it's convenient for them to live there, it'd be great if we can build those relationships, and then we're the place when somebody asks, yeah, I'm a transfer student, where should I go live? They can tell you, yeah, definitely go live at Coffee House. It's a Kook housing property. It's a great location to our school. So that's what I wanted to share. Just make sure you guys know who those contacts are, and if you don't know who they are, try and get that information, so that way you can make those connections with them between now and the end of your lease up.
Yes, for sure. And that's definitely really good. And it actually reminded me of another thing that we used to do as well, is figuring out when their meetings are, whether it is for fraternities or graduate students or international students or so, and offering, join their meetings and offer to sometime every once in a while, offer to take pizza over for them, just as to introduce yourself, offer to take maybe a box of donuts or so. So join their meetings, make yourself visible, offer something to them, so they would something to basically remember you by. So it usually helps. Of course, it usually helps a lot if you do have leasing professionals on site that are going to campus all the time and are keeping an eye on when their big meetings are, when are they having major events where they will have a lot of their members show up, so you can show up as well and share your property's information so it would stick in their heads. So my next suggestion here is basically to kind of highlight what some of the heavy student traffic areas are, where you guys should be constantly visible and present. So of course we have student unions. Dorms are another place, of course, people, especially towards the end of spring semester when people are officially looking to move out or so, flyering them, passing out your own information. Athletic events are huge. People are in usually good spirits, so making sure if you can, especially get an official table right at the front. What are some of the, popular night spots or so? You want to make sure that your flyers are posted by the pool area or other recreational areas or so. A lot of the times you have commuter parking lots or so leaving your flyers on the cars, different bus stops and stuff. You want to make sure that you're hitting all the coffee stops and cupcake shops and other eateries that that a lot of students go to. Make sure that when you are hitting these heavy traffic areas that you're representing the property really well. Make sure to wear your property t-shirt or caps, and your as much as possible represent yourself in your property gear. Have a lot of flyers on you. Be ready to answer a lot of questions about the pricing and everything. So you want to make sure that you have it on your calendar to be constantly doing these things and hitting these spots or so. So have you guys had any events in the past where you were able to successfully reach out to a lot of students on campus? Maybe somebody who hasn't shared so far yet?
Housing fairs work for Raleigh.
Yeah, that usually, housing fairs are usually really huge, and I'm glad that you brought those up as well. What did you guys pass out last time at the housing fair?
Last year we had keychains, solo cups, I mean, t-shirts. We had a lot. The year before we didn't have much. A lot of our clientele tend to just take the collateral and that's it. But just anything and everything. Our market is huge for collateral. It's just getting bigger and bigger every year. So we just have to up the ante every year.
Yeah, and that's good information for you to have. Did anybody else participate in the housing fair last year? Danielle, did you have any success?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of leads come through the housing fair. And I think another thing that has worked for us too has been students.com. We got a lot of international students through there.
Oh, that's a good one, to just students.com.
And they contacted us, but we got quite a few leases from there.
Oh yeah.
I see. Do you know if they're nationwide, or was it just for your locality?
They are kind of an international company because they're not based in the U.S., so we're still trying to get them as a vendor. But we had, I would say, about, oh my goodness, about 15 leases from them.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's definitely good. Students.com, so that's another one to check out. Yeah, so I mean, as you guys can probably see from this presentation alone, there are so many different ways to get your name out there. Recognizing what's important for your property, for your clientele, it becomes pertinent, so you are spending that marketing dollar. I know for sure that the property I used to work at, forrent.com, which actually is one of the leading in the nations and everything, it just did not work really well for us. Majority of the time, we were spending a lot of time explaining how individual occupancy works, or what leasing by the bed meant, and good 90% of the time, people were not looking for a student housing type of property. So we needed to kind of cut back on forrent.com for that reason. Even though it's really popular and it's usually very efficient, it did not work for a property. So that is my advice to you guys constantly. You want to track your performance. You want to make sure that we are making the most out of that money. And the truth is, just like with forrent.com, even though it's really efficient for a lot of places, it did not work really well for us. So we had to cut back on it. You want to also evaluate your sources and see where are the leads coming from. Where do you, just like at University Suites, Lindsay mentioned, you need to know what the trends are. If collaterals are becoming increasingly important, but then you need to allocate more money to your collaterals than to a website that might not be bringing as many leads as it used to. I'm really hoping that you guys all have a marketing calendar for your lease up or so, or at least for a few months leading up to a few months ahead of time, where you know what you'll be working on for next couple of months or so. So if you don't have one, I would love to help you create one. You feel free to reach out to me, and if you do have one that you want to share with the group, that would be great too. Excuse me. Another idea that I wanted to share with you guys is to make sure that you are trying to also maybe provide some venue-specific promotion so you can see what worked or not. So for example, on Housing Fair, and make sure you're handing out a particular flyer that you're asking them to bring back to the property. Sometimes we have, oh, that's Perfect. Yeah, sometimes we also had maybe an application off, or or $10 off your application fee or something, that so we could see how many of those people are coming back from one particular promotion or one particular source or so. So make sure that you are figuring out a way to track where your leads are coming from. So now we are going to have Lindsay Turner from University Suite share her experience last year with marketing, and what worked and what didn't. Lindsay, are you out there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Take it away.
Oh, okay, we pretty much did everything you went over. We still do it to this day, but there was nothing really that didn't work for us. The biggest problem that U Suites ran into about April last year, so a little bit past mid-lease up, is we didn't exist on Google. It was an absolute nightmare. In April, we closed about 17 deals. I was like, okay, traffic's down. It's at the end of spring semester. Everything's okay. People are studying for exams. And me as a manager, I should have researched a little bit more. And once I started to do that, we just didn't exist. I found us, I think, on page like 10 of Google, a couple times on page 8. We were never on the first couple of pages. So I immediately freaked out and contacted Millie and Graham, and we did have a huge problem, and unfortunately it did take several months to fix, because with SEMs and CEO type verbiage, it does take a while to fix. You can increase your Google paid ads, but organic searches, page ranks and links like that is just something that takes time. So that's the biggest thing that I would like to point out, is just really check yourself once a week. Have friends check yourself, clear your browsing history, and really just check yourself. I cannot stress it any more than that. It was probably one of the hardest lease ups I've ever had, but we successfully hit 99% by doing all this stuff. I created a Trello board of everything we needed to do every day, just to make sure we didn't forget to do anything. That's really about it. Do you have any other questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Lindsay? I mean, online presence is incredibly important. That's why I did paste the image of Branbury's on there. You want to Google yourself and see how far down the page you really are. And if you're in the top 5 or so, usually you are good to go. Does anybody have any questions for Lindsay Turner or for myself? Any other ideas? We would like to hear from one more person, possibly, to marketing is such a general topic. What worked for you? Did you guys have a really successful event on campus, or maybe with another business or so that you like to share? Edward?
Hey, Song.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Thanks, Mael. This is Lindsay again. I forgot to mention, if you do have any questions or concerns, you can always contact Emmett or Graham. They really help turn this around for me. We are monitoring keywords, AdWords, on a daily basis. So they can change up things to really help your presence and move you on the pages on Google. So I would just make them your number one source as well.
Great idea. Anybody else would like to share as far as cross promotions or market visibility goes? An event that worked really well for you?
I know for us at the Branbury, something that has really helped us a lot out is, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but reviews. We started the last year at about a 2.2 on Google, and we raised it. Right now we're at a 3.2, and we've just noticed our traffic has increased so much just by getting that up. And so we're working on getting our Yelp up, our apartment ratings, just because we've seen the traffic change from getting that Google review up.
And that's absolutely correct, because chances are, I cannot say with a statistic certainty, but chances are people are Googling you before they are, that's even if they're looking for your phone number or your address or so, that is the first place where they're typing your property's name. And those reviews, that rating shows up right on your right-hand side, 2.2 out of 5, 3.3 out of 5, 4, anything that's 4 and above is usually Really good. So looking at that, see how you are coming across to your prospects and increasing your ratings or focusing on that is usually a very good idea. So if you guys don't have any questions for me today, if something comes up later, feel free to reach out. I hope you guys are ready and pumped to go with this new lease up year. Just spread your wings, though. That's my advice. Go to places you haven't gone before. Reach out to businesses that you haven't reached out to before. Make sure that everybody knows your property's name in your area. Everybody knows what the Edge is all about, what the Lodge is all about, what the Branbury is all about. That is a student housing property and is right over there. Make your name known, and that is going to lead to healthy lead generation, and that's where your leases are going to come from. So we wish you best of luck. Let us know if you have any questions, and have a happy Monday.
Awesome. Thanks, Samia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samia.
Thank you.